Today on Lunch, Hot at Lunch, I have pioneers of Motswako music from sharing big stages with icons such as Drake, Big Sean, my crush, to mention but a few. I'm interviewing Khuli, Chana, one of the founding fathers of Motswako and a South African hip-hop icon. A golden opportunity it is. And he's not alone. He is definitely with my fave. I'm talking about one versatile artist, a rapper, producer, educator, and community figure. From co-founder Marafi to empowering aspiring creators and celebrating family in his music, he definitely embodies growth and authenticity of the heart of Motswako culture. Gentlemen, welcome to The Good Life.
Well, more like welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back home, more like,
Yeah.
Where you belong, hey? Where you belong. It's such an honor, and thank you so much for honoring the invite to come rock with me on the airwaves. I told you you're one of the good things that are happening in my life right now.
no, this is a good thing happening to all of us.
Yeah, and that's your motto.
That's my motto.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, let's jump right into the conversation. You're often referred as Motswako, pioneers of Motswako. Hey, how do you define the Motswako movement in your own language, your own words?
The Motswako movement, wow, man. I mean, for somebody looking at it in hindsight, like us, we looking back 2 decades back. You just said 2 decades ago you were 10.
I'm 10, right?
Right?
That's wild.
So that's how far back it goes. So I think time and how so many things have happened over time. It's just, it's a time to reflect. It's a full circle moment.
Yeah.
Khuli was talking about one of, the full circle moments that we're experiencing right now.
So your big boss Owen actually interviewed us, right?
Yeah. Our first.
About 20 years ago.
Yep.
So what makes this moment special is that this is where it actually started. Moyaron. You know what I mean? So we became big here in Gabs before anywhere else.
This is the first radio station.
This is the radio station.
This is the first radio station to have us on high rotation in the world.
Yeah.
Dope stuff.
Yeah.
And that's why I went.
And Owen is a real one. Shout out to Owen.
Shout out to Owen. The first guy to interview us right here on Yaro.
So I'm the second guy. Yo, mama, I made it. Cheers, guys.
I know life has been good to you, but that's a little bit much. No, you like 100.
Come on, Khuli.
We've had Dollar, we've had it's been a bunch. Shout out to Mac, yeah.
Shout out to you guys.
Yeah.
But you can aura farm too.
20 years later, I'm the first in 20 years.
Yeah, there you go.
Alrighty, now you both look back at the early Marafi days, Did you think you'd ever be here where you are actually such a great impact in so many people's lives?
Can I be honest?
Yeah.
Nah. There was a time. Yeah. When we came to Bots, it was starting to feel like, this dream is a little far-fetched. And things took a turn when we got here. And, at the time we were moving with Double HP. And I think, his foresight, he could see things we couldn't see. But I remember at that moment I just couldn't see it. I was just, I'm gonna roll with it, but it feels like a stretch. It was such a heavy burden. It was just,
most times you felt humiliation and this pride and proud to be, because you gotta imagine we came up in a time when Kwaito was openly saying, this hip-hop thing is not it.
Yeah.
So you coming to a crowd that is half Kwaito, half hip-hop.
There was resistance.
Yeah, so you get on stage and you are never sure if you're gonna get a good response or not. So persevering through times like that, you can't say you always knew you're gonna make it.
I like that you mentioned that, how this is how you felt back in the days before the excitement and the pride of feeling like I'm in the game. Yeah. I want to know from both of you, when was that moment, that aha moment when you know that, Nonjaka, I'm the brand, I'm at the top of the game? When was your aha moment? Let me start with you, Towdee.
For me, it's a culmination of aha moments, right? But when Jabba first came to us and said, I think when I go back to Joburg, you guys should come with me.
Yeah.
And to us, it was like, really?
Yeah.
Where are we gonna stay? Oh, you'll stay at my place.
Yeah.
Really? What are we gonna no? Hey, come do this show with me.
Yeah.
This one time, Jabba couldn't make it. He was sick. He was like, yo, no, Murafi will take this show for me.
But I remember us signing autographs at a stadium gig with Jabba.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember a time Towdee used to practice his autograph. This was all he ever did. So between me and Towdee, I know I said earlier, I was like, I couldn't see it. But Towdee used to say, I don't see myself doing anything else.
Besides that, wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So the crazy kind of faith, right? And so, yeah. And then to seeing Towdee practice is like, oh, autograph to watching him sign autographs. That was a
Like, yeah, like they used to laugh at me. In my rhyme book, you know, back in the day, we didn't have notepads.
Yeah.
Smartphones with notepads, man. You had a rhyme book where you wrote your lyrics. At the back of all my rhyme books was this autograph. In like a whole lot, you could tell that I was practicing how to do this autograph signature. So the first time I signed the autograph, I was like, there it is. The first time we got on a flight.
First time we got on, and then the first time we got paid. But I've told the story a bunch of times. I think, Jabba broke bread with us. We got paid. I got that cheese. I got that bread, and then I went straight to a clothing store.
Squashed all the bread.
Bought some fresh gear. Left the old clothes in the fitting room. Out. New. You know, so yeah, you know, and then when you you get to a place where you now can pay bills. And you know, when we moved into our first apartment, when we bought our first car together, and then suddenly
And when you suddenly started looking the same, you look alike. Can't even tell.
we cousins.
Yeah, I can see the blood. Way thicker than water.
Yeah, you know. Our family.
I like that. And speaking of Botswana and Mahikeng. Do you still call it Mahikeng?
Yeah, it's officially Mahikeng.
Guys, put an effort in. Yeah, Botswana and Mahikeng have both contributed to the Motoko movement. How do you see the cross-border cultural connection evolving?
I mean, that's exactly what the Motoko Republic Tour is trying to do, you know, this weekend. We are paying homage to this being the first place to show us love. You know, we wouldn't have started this anywhere else but here, Mogaborone. This is the first city to show us love in the world.
Yeah.
You know, so we had to start here.
And you know, that's, you know, shout out to guys like Zeus, Ska, Bo, Samba T, Bo,
man.
Oracle.
Man, as far back as Bo,
Mr. T. I don't know what's T's name.
T Squared. Was that T? No.
T Joint.
Oh!
Yeah.
They're corporate dudes now, right?
Yeah,
you
they
know?
are.
Yeah. What about our corporate men right now doing, you know, getting MBAs and whatnot?
There's a new kid on the block. I need you to meet him.
Yeah.
There's a guy called Jack Glass, yeah?
I've heard of Jack Glass, yeah.
Jack Glass one time is crazy.
Tonight.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like that.
Jack Glass one time.
Have you heard of KX Legit?
We haven't heard.
So put us
Yeah.
on.
Put us on.
Done deal.
Who's the girl we heard about? Tuli. Yeah.
So those two?
Yeah.
You didn't get it from me.
Yeah, so what's
You
the
didn't get it from me.
Yeah, we're actually trying to see, trying to put Tuli on tonight, right? Yeah.
Crazy
Yeah.
business.
Yo, so Tuli, if you're out there, come join us
Come
tonight.
through at House of
I'd love
Abundance.
to.
We'd like-
What's her vibe like?
She's dope. I
crazy.
saw a couple videos. She's
Yeah.
dope.
I was interviewing her last week.
Yeah.
That girl is great. She's not going to the trade. She at the top.
Yeah.
She at the top.
We're
She's
trying
really
to put her on tour with us. So yeah.
Okay, I love it. This is the business that I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If anybody tuned in and you're not feeling like this is a good day, I don't know about you, when I might but I'll tell her later. For now, a good time.
There's another dude that excited me. Sididi Escobar. I saw some video on Facebook. Thought like you know what?
Sididi Escobar.
Sididi Escobar. Like that joint. I don't know the name of the joint. I don't know if it's out.
The name.
But yeah. No, that joint is dope. He knows the song I'm talking about because I hit him up on Facebook. You know.
Okay.
And that's how he ended up on the lineup tonight. Because of that song.
Okay.
So yeah. Motsokolista, if you keep putting your stuff out there and we see it and we recognize, we will never turn a blind eye.
And that's what I was just about to say. I highly appreciate how you stay recognizing talent. You know, you're not just back here because we gave you the love. You stay giving us back the love. You know, I mean, KX these are kids, but you still reckon and mess with great talent. You see it. I mean, the real recognizes the real. But I really appreciate you all for that. And earlier on, you mentioned about how it was really hard to penetrate the market because Nelumo generation in Yakwaita that time and really my hip hop dog, you know. But your hip hop, you blend Botswana and English so well. Like you put it out there. I want to understand how intentional is your language choice when you're writing your lyrics?
How intentional is
your language choice?
It's very.
I mean, it got to a place. I mean, it went from. I mean, for me, it started out as it was a dare, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, so my big brother Prof was like, yo, you've got an amazing flow, your cadence, whatnot, but I want you to try it Botswana. I dare you to try it Botswana. And I tried it, and it was fun. So it started out, you know, as really fun, and it was challenging. Botswana, now, you know, you're trying to balance, how do I rap and sound the way I speak, you know, using dialect, you know what I mean, and that was hard for me, you know what I mean, and then at a certain point it starts feeling like a job. You need to be in the hood and be on the pulse in terms of, you know, and slang. You know.
Yeah, man, that's what it takes, you know, to be involved in the culture. Know, you know, the words to use, knows, because the listener is somebody who uses a certain type of culture of language. So when you're rapping and you know who you're rapping to, you know exactly how you gotta be rapping.
I like that. And for you tune in, we're going to take a quick break and be right back with the pioneers of Motswako. Don't touch that dial, Rajika. +26739110666 is still the number for you to hit us up. Earlier on, you talked about, you know, I talked about you appreciating young talent, especially in Botswana and obviously even other countries. But I want to understand, do you feel like the newer generation of artists truly understands what Motswako stood for?
Yeah. I mean, you know, in fact, I have a problem with them understanding it too much and not expanding on it. You know, because there's a lot of, you know, I find a lot of young Motsokolistas trying to sound like how we sounded 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I appreciate more the young Motsokolistas who are pioneering, who are doing this thing in ways that we never did it.
Yeah.
You know, guys like Ati, guys like Madlera Doughboy, guys like 25K, you know, these are guys pioneering in Motswako. You can never say anybody did it like them before. You know? But in the same sense, they've taken how they speak every day and put that into lyrics and put that into art, you know, and put that into something that can be studied on a scholarly level, you know, because, you know, there's idioms, you know, there's grammar there, you know. So I kind of like what young Motsokolistas are doing.
And they show us a lot of love. So, you know, to be honored 20 years deep in the thing, you know, I mean, one of my biggest fears, you know, has always been being forgotten.
And
just, you know, things fade, you know what I mean? But the love we get from the youngins is just, it's crazy, it's beautiful, you know.
And speaking of being forgotten, Khuli, I was gonna ask you later on that, you know, you have brand endorsements. 20 years later, more than 20 obviously, because there was a period we never cover Siruaga when I being at the top, and that was the time where the passion was brewing. And years later, you're still at the top. As a veteran, how do you make sure that you stay relevant?
Like I said, my biggest fear was being forgotten. I guess God heard me. He was just hearing me out. Okay.
And that fear will light a fire. You know?
But you know, one of my passions has always been brand storytelling. You know, before the music, you know, I was attracted to the world of advertising and branding. So, you know, so it's just I guess it's all manifestation, you know? And it's crazy. Like, I remember young Khuli hanging out at Vega, you know, because that's in the hanging around there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Couple years later, I'd hang around agencies like Ogilvy, and I was just marvel at these guys working, you know. So I've always, you know, had an understanding of how both worlds, you know, integrate, you know, the music, the film, brands, storytelling, you know, yeah. So I think in the future, that's really what I want to do, you know.
And speaking of manifestation, something
Yeah.
Did you ever think one day you're gonna wake up, have a solid marriage, great kids, good life, and you're still at the top in your entertainment industry career?
I prayed for that one. I'll tell you.
So you always known you want your wife to be in the same industry?
No, well, no. No, that just happens, you know. But I think. I mean, you know, and we all, you know, at that place, and that's where, you know, we're truly blessed, you know. You know what I mean? So I always knew, you know, I'd really love to get to a place where we have homes. And, you know, that's something we didn't have for a very long time. You know what I mean? Because when you're coming up, you know, you're hopping from that spot to that spot, you know. You feel like these guys could come evict me at any moment. We were just never settled, you know, and we've just been blessed with beautiful wives and beautiful kids, and we have homes, and that's a beautiful thing, you know.
I like that.
Yeah.
And Towdee, how has the balance been? You know, trying to balance your career, balance home, family.
Well, my wife is right over there. In the corner right over there.
That's a solid balance. It's alright, you answer.
You know what I mean? So yeah, my wife and I, we partners in business, we partners in life, we partners in marriage. So yeah, that's another side that makes it a bit easier. That, you know, when you have a life partner that understands the life, you know, the work life, you know? And that balance, I mean, it's, like Khuli said, you pray for that, because nobody can tell you how to get that right. You know, you really gotta pray, man.
I like that.
Yeah.
And how has it been? You're also married to a very fine wife. I don't know about these talented man-made fine wives. At least Towdee works with her. Thank you for coming to Botswana. Everyone, thank you. And now with him, shame, let's hear from him. How has it been being married to a flaming hot wife? Let me start, I'm not done. Hot banging body, crazy DJ skills, a dope personality. That woman feels safe from a distance. I'm watching a video, I'm like, this woman is too kind. I'll tell her all my problems and leave that place feeling like everything's gonna be alright. How do you do that?
How do I do? How do I answer that?
How do you sit on that thought? Fam, you got a mirror at your house. You got 2 eyes. You ain't blind. You see how hot that woman is. You see how kind she is. Why is it beauty inside out?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say you are hold on.
I know.
What's up with? Towdee, inspire the boy.
Yeah.
Work together. Where is she now? She needs to be playing later on with you. It's solid.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Now, what has been the challenges, though, you know, in your career or in the Motswako genre kabone?
I mean, those don't stop, eh? I mean, there's always a new challenge, you know?
Challenges don't stop. You know, at first it was money. And that was the only challenge you saw. But as soon as the money comes, you start to realize that there's a lot more around your entire spectrum that you need to be taking care of and creating a balance, you know? And we spend a lot of our young lives just chasing the money and thinking that will solve everything. And then when you get the money, you get into the habit of throwing money at problems, you know? And then you get to a stage where, you know, when they say life begins at 40, I understand it now, because now you're not about going out to get everything and that you can get. Now you're all about creating a balance. You know, you can say no to a big check because you can see what's going to happen ahead of that. And you say, no, it's all right. You can take a smaller check and leave a bigger check because the smaller check is going to be sustainable. Or, you start to learn to create a balance, and even then the challenges are like, because creating a balance is like, walking a tightrope. Any moment things could fall apart. And sometimes they do, and you have to pick yourself up. So I think the practice is picking yourself up. You're gonna fall. You're gonna make mistakes, especially when you're having too much fun and you're on a streak. Be ready to get up if you fall. That's the best advice I can give.
And some of the challenges that I see in the entertainment industry is falling. The falling comes with mental issues, and some don't even recover from that. How do you guys make sure that, even if you're seeing the water, you're just not drowning?
Talk.
Yeah. And you can have a healthy relationship with the music. I think there's always been this idea that you gotta be either like a weed head, or you gotta be like always either intoxicated to, you can be sober and make great music. You know what I mean? You can have a healthy relationship. You know what I mean? You can be married, settle down, and still do this thing and still be,
It doesn't have to be toxic all the time.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be toxic.
And a lot of musicians, a lot of artists have a toxic relationship with their art. There has to be booze around in the studio. There has to be, and it creates a vicious relationship that you don't even realize. You think you love this thing, but it's killing you because of the things you bring to it. You make it about, So Khuli's right. Having a healthy relationship with your craft is very important.
Okay, it's 2025, Towdee. What are you doing? What are you working on?
My man, I got 3 singles out already this year.
I don't
I'm about to do a remix.
Crazy run.
So this has been a great year for me musically.
Definitely.
I've been able to do things that have only been in my head for a long time, and I've never put out. This year I just said, let's go. And I started with Nibi Jara in January. In February, I put out a song dedicated to my wife, Bedweja Serati.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna play that when I get married, yeah? No, actually, you are coming to perform it.
All right.
You're bringing your inspiration to my wedding.
And then I also dropped Dikenetwe with Lection. Which we're gonna be performing
tonight. Tomorrow. All right. Khuli, what are you cooking?
Cooking with Morafi, we dropping, we touring, and more brand storytelling.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, man.
Now, so somebody tuned in and local artists, the incoming, been coming, still coming, the genre might seem like it's dying to them, whatever genre that they're looking into venturing in. What would you give them as a word of advice?
Innovate.
Yeah.
Innovate. Don't look at what's being done and try to mimic that. You're gonna die into the sea of the noise, but if you innovate, then you're forever gonna stay on top. There are very many amapiano artists, but very few stand out because they innovate in that culture. They're doing things that others are not doing. Same thing in Motswako. The guys that are big right now are the guys that are innovative with their Motswako. Casper is where he is because he innovates all the time. That's his. I think that's his formula. He's always innovating. Khuli's always innovating.
True.
Khuli's always reinventing himself. So you see it there that, okay, so innovation and reinventing is what keeps you alive in the arts. Yeah.
Adapt or die.
I like that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
100%.
So I'm gonna play one of my favorite tracks, yeah? It has to be okay. So I'm obsessed with Sandwa San, right? Crazy obsessed. Like just last night, I put up a status. This was the flyer for our show today, and I played the song and I said, Siri, put it on blast. Let's go for it. And at that moment, literally, I'm at an event. You all are performing, and I'm the girl of the moment. I'm obsessed with the song.
Wow.
But there was this other time in my life, after going through a rough time, and then I had to wake up one day and I said, you know what? Even if I cry to this and sulk every day, I'm not gonna make it any better. So it's either I face my problems, let them know what's up, deal with them how they need to be dealt with, or I cry for the rest of my life. And I'm too privileged to do that. So every single time when I had this feeling of anxiety, I would look myself in the mirror and Ish, I was trying. So, like, I'll picture myself having two personalities. So my okay personality will say to my not okay personality, Swada. I have one last question for you, gents. Now, I've seen a pattern on the character behavior of people that you mentor. Let's take Maglera Duboy for an example. They carry the same belief that you carry, especially you, Towdee, about, capturing originality. Your mud is your gold. Mm-hmm. Do you have like a certain criteria you pick in terms of people that you mentor? Or you just have different people coming in, you mentor them, and they happen to be carrying the same sentiment and belief when they go out there because that music and that character and everything about them really resonates so well with the same belief?
As a professional mentor, as a professional qualified mentor,
okay,
I would say first of all, there's no such thing as a bad learner, just a bad teacher, right? Ooh. So a teacher is supposed, first of all, before you start teaching, you're supposed to be able to diagnose potential, right? So for somebody to approach you and say they want to work with you, they see something in you, that's what a teacher is supposed to have. A master is supposed to see a student and like in kung fu terms,
yes.
And say, you have the bone structure of a Tai Chi master, come here,
Yeah.
So I think it's the ability to diagnose. It's not about being generous and as long as this kid came and he asked nicely, then you can help him and he'll be successful. That kid has to be working. I always say to my students, do the work and the job will find you at work. I was just making beats in my room and the job to make, music and the job to make adverts and, the job to create sounding for radio found me working.
Yeah.
So, we were rapping. We were kids rapping for each other.
Yeah. We spent, I think, more years doing that.
Yeah, we spent more years rapping in behind closed doors, in secret to one another, and we were working. We would meet. We would make meetings. We'd get in trouble with Mo for arriving late to rehearsal. We weren't even rehearsing for a show. We were just rehearsing to know these songs.
Okay.
Because I don't know what we were chasing, but to us it was just about having these songs and knowing how to sing them to ourselves.
And I think that's what attracted Jabba.
Yeah.
And every other opportunity is that when we came in, we were ready, we were prepared, and we were gonna expand on this thing that he started. Before us it was Stone, it was Buffy Khuli, it was Jabba. And Morafi came into the scene, and then it took new shape. Similarly to Maglera, what you said earlier on about the guys that expanded.
Yeah.
All right, and when it takes new life form, it takes new shape. I mean, what Casper has done with it, what Maglera has done with it is amazing, right? So for me, it's that I pass the baton to the guy who's gonna make it bigger.
Yeah.
Who's gonna take this thing of ours,
to the next level.
To the next level, yeah.
I like that.
Isingbo amfake ramfi. Hello, mfake.
I'm gonna get like a style
Mfake. I won't fuck it one thing. But give me this thing, you gotta make it bigger, right? And I think, man, we in a good place. Yeah.
You just landed here in BW for the weekend. You're doing the tour.
Tonight, House of Habanos. I understand that House of Habanos is a new venue. It's at Tunnel Lounge, right? It's one of the rooms at Tunnel Lounge. If you don't know, let me let you in on a secret. Tunnel Lounge, it's not just a club, it's an events hub, right? So we in there on another part of the club tonight. Then tomorrow we open up the entire club. And then, we've got everybody from Zeus, Viso View,
Views was coming up.
Yeah.
Visa.
Shout out to Vizu, shout out to Betty.
Yeah,
those are like my favorite rappers.
You know, we've got your Motswako favorites, Momulimi, Duk Senganga, Marafe on the lineup. We've also got Fifi Cooper coming through. We've got Noti coming through. We've got Lection. Noti and Lection, you know, Motsako's favorite performers. You know, you love to see them on stage.
Yeah.
You know, we got DJ Kenzo in the house. We got DJ Coco in the house. We got DJ Cooks in the house.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know.
Were you the one doing the lineup? You literally have everybody's name on mine, like every single video.
Yeah, that lineup, like, you know, like that lineup has been in my head because you know what, this show is so exciting for us too.
Yeah.
You know, Sunday we having so tonight is the pre-party. Tomorrow is the main event. Sunday is the after party.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to understand. Why are you here for the weekend?
Yeah,
so
Sunday is the after party. Look, this is a big celebration. This is not something we take lightly.
Yeah.
Botswana gave us love first. So we weren't gonna come here on some whim bam, thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
So, you know, we are giving you a whole full weekend of Motswako. Tonight, you know, we're opening the floor for your up and coming Motswako Lista locally to come through, you know. Towdee come through.
Definitely.
You know? So yeah, tomorrow we got the main event. Sunday, we got the chillers at Corner Couch. It's gonna be beautiful.
Alrighty, let me not take much of your time. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your successful day. Highly appreciate you. Listen, may the flame never die off. Highly. You have no idea. Listen, just in case you leave and then people are gonna think I'm lying. It's my 30th birthday next month, right?
Wow.
I mean, everybody else can send me those messages about how a queen was born. I really don't care about that. I wanna hear your wish me a birthday.
Yo, is it true? You said next week, right?
Next month.
Yeah. Have patience.
I'll text you all that. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Enjoy the rest of your successful day and night. Keep rocking.